The under-discussed Eastern Front was a disaster from the beginning. The Russian advance into the Masurian Lakes was imperiously crushed at Tannenberg in the first weeks of the conflict. Over the next 12 months, the Germans pushed forward relentlessly, taking Poland and Byelorussia and inflicting huge losses. Brusilov's desperate offensives in 1916 resulted in some initial territorial gains, but these were rolled back by Ludendorff's carefully considered counteroffensive in what was the worst single massacre of the war. Units of the Tsarist army fell apart. The casualty rates are illuminating. In 3 years of fighting, Russia lost more men than any of the other combatants had after 4 years, 2.7 million dead. At the same time, there was turmoil in the Tsarist colonies in the east. The largest of these was Turkestan, whose regime Lenin compared to the French colonial operation in Algeria. The bulk of the native population was legally and topographically segregated from the colonizers. Rebellions were rare, one in 1898, another in 1916. The latter was savagely repressed, one of the last two defeats that Tsarist forces inflicted on the colonized. The other was in Kazakhstan and Kyrgyzstan. Here, in the decades before the war, the peasants had been driven off their fertile land in the northern Black Earth belt by a million or so colonists. These included Cossacks and peasants whose presence created enormous tensions between the Tsarist Empire and the displaced clans, culminating in a national rebellion in 1916. The reprisals wreaked upon the indigenous population were the final and worst atrocities of Tsarism. Hundreds of thousands of Kazakhs and Kyrgyz refugees fled to China, many returning to their homelands after the revolution. The World War accelerated the Tsarist collapse, but many other factors were involved. Starvation stalked the Russian countryside.